Hello, Instagram. Welcome to Selling from the Top. My name is Sarah Mandracina, and I have been in direct sales for 21 years this month. So I wanted to share some tips with you about sales and what sales is and what sales isn't. I think the number one thing I hear from women, that I predominantly work with women, by the way, is I hear, I'm not a salesperson. So I want to talk about that. And if you are in the sales business and you have a question about sales, feel free to comment below or even direct message me. I'll get back to you later. But you know what? Sales is one of those things that has a bad rap, right? It has a bad connotation attached to it. But in reality, you are either being sold to every day, all day, or you are selling to somebody all day. Think about things like this. If you are a parent, you're selling your kids on what you want them to do, making their bed, washing their own clothes, what you're cooking for dinner, and they're going to eat it, eating their vegetables. You're selling your kids on your opinion and what you want them to do. If you are in a corporate job, you're being sold on how that company is being run and how that organization should do things a certain way and how you should show up at work at a certain time and take your lunch at a certain time. These are all things that you are already being sold to. If you're single, you are selling yourself on the dating world. If you are in any of those dating apps, you are selling yourself all the time. So you are fine. I bet you probably haven't even thought about all the ways that you are actually selling without knowing that you're selling. Let's talk a little bit about what sales is not. Sales is not negotiation. Sales is not convincing. Sales is not pushing people. Sales is not about you, the salesperson, ever. It's never about you. And I think if you are able to focus on what sales isn't, you will always succeed in sales. If you have ever, I would love to know with a hand raised, have you ever been sold to? You know what I mean? Have you ever had that yucky feeling where you walk away and somebody sold you and it didn't feel good? It just happened to me that last week. And I thought this was a perfect opportunity to kind of come on live and explain my situation to you and share some secrets from the top. I was in Costco and I was checking out at Costco, and the Costco where I live is super busy, and I'm assuming most Costco's are this busy, but it was like really busy. At the end of the day, they were trying to get people out of there, checking the receipts, getting you through the line, and you know how you hand them your membership card and they check your membership card? Well, they scan my membership card, and then some lady buzzes over to me out of nowhere and says, "Ma'am, for $40, you'll get more percentage back on your next X and XX purchases." And I had no idea what she was talking about, but she wouldn't leave me alone. And I was like pressured to get out of there. And I was like, sure, fine, whatever. And when I walked out, I was like, I was just sold to. And I didn't like the way I felt. I didn't like that approach at all. It was being pushy, putting me in a time-sensitive situation. I didn't understand what I was doing. Now, I know Costco, and I know that I can go in there, and if I don't make that money back, so to speak, in rewards, that's what it was for, they'll give you the money back. But that's not the point. The point is that I felt yucky. I felt taken advantage of. And I'm sure you have also felt taken advantage of before, and that is not what sales is. Sales is never about convincing somebody on your agenda, on what you want them to do. It's not about you. It's about the person that you are sitting in front of, or the service you're providing to that person or company, and what that individual needs from you. It's providing value so that another person can take action or not take action, ideally to take action. If you are in a sales position, your main job is to provide value by educating and sharing your product or service. I'm in a product-based business, so I educate and provide value with skincare and makeup for women. And I love it. I'm passionate about it. And that brings me to my second point. If you're in a sales position, are you 100% sold out on your product and your company? I believe being 100% sold out, no questions, no pondering, what ifs, that makes you a 100% genuine sales representative. or business person. When it comes to representing a product or a service, I don't believe in ever representing something that I don't already use and 100% exclusively use or already love and know very well. I have had a relationship with my product since I was 14 years old. So for me, I'm very passionate about it and I know it works. So that brings me to my next point. Are you 100% sold out on yourself? Because that's where I think a lot of women struggle. And I'm speaking from women because that's generally who I speak with and who I work with. But of course, men too. Are you sold out on yourself? Are you confident in your company and your product and your knowledge? And I know that you might be thinking, well, what if I'm brand new? How can I get to that place? Just have to start. You have to get your toe wet and start implementing, educating yourself, and absorbing all the information you can absorb little by little so that you can be confident in your field and be confident in who you are. Your self-confidence, you're selling yourself every day on getting up and doing whatever it is you're doing. So being sold out on yourself. And that brings me to another point of how important it is to be authentic. Be you. You need to be who you are in your sales role, not who somebody else is. Because your ideal customer and who you work with, they oftentimes are buying a product or service from you because they trust you and because they like you. And that is it. The product or service you provide, at least my product speaks for itself. You can try my product and it will sell itself. I don't have to be a person to actually sell you on the product. Feeling it, using it, you can feel how fabulous it is. But people choose to work with me because they like me and I provide them great customer service. So sales is not about pushing things on people, convincing people. Sales is not about trying to negotiate with people or you be slimy or even be manipulative. That is never what sales is. And I wrote some notes down, so I might be looking down for a few minutes. I want to make sure I get all the points. But sales is educating and sharing. Educating and sharing and building trust with your audience and with your customer base and your potential customer base. And that means establishing authority in your field. And how can you establish that authority is by educating yourself. Does your company provide you with training? Do you take advantage of that training? Do you self-train? Do you self-coach? These are all things that make a successful salesperson. But I'll tell you this, I started this video speaking about how I often will be talking to a woman and she might be interested in joining my business. And one of the things I hear most frequently is, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a born salesperson. I do not believe people are born salespeople. I think some people are born with a personality that fits a sales role really well. But I do believe that women and men can be taught how to be great salespeople because it's not an embedded skill, it's learning people skills. And when I started this video and we started talking about how women often say this to me, my first response to her is, thank goodness you're not a salesperson, because I don't want anybody to be a salesperson. I want somebody who is willing to learn. I want somebody who is willing to take action. I want somebody who's willing to educate and teach and share their love of product or service with their influence. That is what I want. And if somebody is willing to do that, then I know she or he will be a fabulous salesperson, because it's not about selling somebody on something. Being sold is never, ever feel good. Never. It never feels good. Have any of you ever had a friend that she was that person or he was that person that could sell you on anything? They can convince you, basically just convincing you of doing whatever it is you may not want to do. I used to be that friend. I went through a divorce about 10 years ago, and then I was still really young. I was in my early 30s, and so I had a group of girlfriends that were also single, and I am very outgoing, and so I convinced them all the time, we have to go out every Friday and Saturday night for a period of time. And it was just what I convinced them to do. And there was different personalities, and they were not always the personality that would have wanted to go out every Friday and Saturday night, but they did because I convinced them it was what they had to do. So do you have a friend in your life that does that, that is convincing, that you can trust, that if they say, that looks fabulous on you, that you trust them and that you believe them? And that's what sales is being believable because you're genuine. And when it comes to if you provide a service or a product, I believe 100% that you never sell somebody something that they don't need or it does not look good on them if it's a visual item. And I do believe in being direct and honest with if it's a fit for them or not, because I always tell my customers that just because a product exists does not mean it's always for you. And I mean that. So I am basically a coach. And when it comes to my sales position, I am teaching women how to apply their makeup properly, how to take care of their skin properly, finding the right value for them and finding the right niche of product for them that fits their lifestyle. And so that brings me to the next point, is asking the right questions. If you are in a sales position, it's not about you talking. It's about getting to know the person in front of you or across the screen from you, asking the right questions, asking he or she, what her lifestyle is like. And I keep saying she because I'm in a female-based business predominantly. And, asking her what her lifestyle is. I want to know immediately what the person I'm talking to across the table, what is she already using on her face? That tells me something about her habits. I want to know what her lifestyle is like. Does she have children? Does she have a busy work schedule? I immediately can figure out what is not going to be right for this person and what is a better direction to take for somebody, because I don't ever want somebody walking away with a product that they're not going to use. And that brings me to my next few points, and that is when it comes to sales, you can be unsold just as fast as you can be sold, right? And when it comes to being unsold, there's a couple of things I think that unsell me really quickly. And that is basically when you are pushed into something, of course, and you don't feel as though it's something that you're interested in or you're being talked out of something, but really it's when somebody is, hold on, I have to take my notes. I wrote down notes for this one, is basically when somebody is pushing you to do something and it's not something that you're really interested in. And being unsold for me is when somebody doesn't provide me with customer service. I just had an exchange with an online company that I bought some clothing, and I asked up front, I said, is this returnable? And they said, yes, it's returnable, no problem. Well, I got the clothing, 2 things didn't fit me, and they said, it's gonna cost a lot of money for you to ship this back. It's probably from Asia. And I said, well, you told me I could return it. And so immediately, I will never do business with this company again. So unselling is something for me is, what do you provide? Do you provide 100% guarantee of your product? Do you provide a customer service that is going to back up either what you're claiming or your product or service? So I think when it comes to sales, it's not just what you provide in a product or service. It's building trust with who you're talking to, being authentic, being you, and most importantly, getting to know the person or business or whoever you are interacting with and finding out their needs and value, finding their needs and finding a way to provide a service or product to fit their needs is basically what sales is. And that is what I wanted to share with you today. And that sales is not something that is yucky. Sales is not something that is slimy. And if you feel that you are in a position that you're getting those types of responses, it's time to reevaluate how you are running your business or organization, because it should never be that way. It's always about the person in front of you or the business in front of you and what you can provide them in value and in service. and finding out and asking the correct questions so that you're able to get to the deeper level of problem and provide that for them. Have a great Tuesday. And if you have any questions, go ahead and direct message me or comment below. And yes, I would agree, Chanda. Sales is so much fun. There's nothing more fun than having a sales role and being able to provide people with something that's exciting and fun and making somebody feel good about themselves. And, one of the things I researched recently was, people want to be sold to. They don't want to be pushed or convinced, but they want to be sold to. They want you to do your job and explain to them, well, why do I want this product or service? What is in it for me? Because that's what it is about. As the consumer, what is in it for me? What is it going to do for me? So that is educating them. That's not sales. That's not being slimy or pushy. It's educating the individual on what it can do for them. So thank you, Melissa. Thank you for watching and have a great Tuesday, everybody. I'll see you next week.